Let me speak to you about the top 5 EIN only large business loans based on cash flows. So those are loans that require no personal guarantee or credit check. Don't go anywhere. You're going to love it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to speak to you about the top 5 EIN only large business loans based on cash flows. When I speak about cash flows, I speak about flows of money that comes from two financial statements: the income statements and the cash flow statements. All right. So the income statements is basically, I'm sure you know that because you're a business owner. It's where you actually have your revenue and expenses. So when you actually deduct your expenses from your revenue, you have your gross profit and then your net profit. Okay. And gross profit equals net sales minus cost of goods sold. Operating income equals gross profit minus operating expenses. Net income equals operating income plus non-operating items. I'm not getting into accounting, advanced accounting here, but I just want to really explain what we're talking about today. And basically, for the cash flow statements, you have 3 types of activities. So you have the operational activities, so cash flows from operational activities, cash flows from investing activities, and cash flows from financing activities. I need to explain this to you because the kind of lenders that I will be talking to you today about, those lenders will pay attention to those things. So you better have an understanding yourself about what kind of information those lenders are looking for. Okay, and when we talk about cash flows, cash flows are not profit. Cash flows are not revenues. Revenue is linked to cash flows, but it doesn't mean it's not the same thing. And another thing I need to say very clearly here is that the title of this video is the top 5 EIN only. When we speak about EIN only business loans, folks, please understand, you need to have an EIN, but you also need to incorporate. Don't be a sole proprietor and have an EIN and hope that the bank will qualify the credit decision based simply on your business credit. You need to have a business. You need to set up everything operationally, legally, and financially. You need to separate your personal life from your business life. So you got to have an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, or whatever it is, but it cannot be a sole proprietorship. Okay. And another thing you need to do here is a lot of folks make this mistake. They do not prepare the business application properly. You got to have a business plan in your application. You got to have sales projections. You got to have revenue projections. If you do all those things, then the lender will base their decision on the business's credit, aka your EIN. Another thing I want to say here is that when we speak about the top 5 EIN only large business loans, you have to understand that the best way to prepare for this kind of a loan is to have a business plan. And in the business plan, you want to talk about your executive summary. You want to describe the business. You want to do some market analysis, competitive analysis. You want to you need to lay out a strong foundation of your company. You need the money for something, right? And you're telling the lender, please base your credit decision. I want you to underwrite this business loan based on cash flows. And by cash flows, we're talking about sales. We're talking about revenue. We're speaking about the inflows and outflows. So you need to explain all this in the business plan. You got to be clear about that. You got to have projections. In other words, you are speaking about actual data, but also you want to project yourself into the future, into the next 6 months or 12 months, and you want to have a conversation on your business plan about your vision and mission. Everything you need to do to prove to the lender that you are a solid business, please do so. Very important. I need to emphasize this because We hear a lot of people making the mistake, and they just put information in the loan application form, and they just submit everything, and they just are surprised that the lender is doing a hard pull on their personal credit. Well, if you haven't segregated your business from your personal life, operationally, legally, and financially, of course, the lender is going to check your personal credit. But if you have done a great job at separating those two entities, then the lender will be compelled to base their decision on your EIN. Before we get into the actual nitty-gritty, the rankings here, please make sure that your income statement information matches the business plan data, okay? And I also want you to check out a short video about our evaluation approach. We do have on this show a very rigorous evaluation approach when it comes to assessing, when it comes to categorizing and listing business loans that we review on this show. Check this out. All right, number 5, folks, we have lighter capital. When we speak about the top 5 EIN only large business loans based on cash flows, no personal guarantee or credit check, lighter capital is a great player. Our score, 8/10. And when you think about lighter capital, they can actually fund you from $50,000 all the way to $1 million. They want the minimum time to funding is 2 weeks. The required annual revenue at the business level is $100,000, and the minimum time in business is 1 to 2 years. And lighter capital require in their business loan paperwork, they want you to have a business plan, and they want you to detail your cash flows in terms of your statement of cash flows, but also your income statement. Okay, what are the pros and cons here? So lighter capital is suited for small businesses. They do have competitive terms and fees, especially in this niche, and they have excellent customer support, okay? And in terms of cons, we've seen in our analysis that they're not really suited for startups. In other words, if you're a new business, you just have been around for, say, 3 months or 4 months, then lighter capital is not really the player you want to go to. And we also have seen we've seen something that is a little problematic, is that in some cases, people have said that the typical time to funding was above a month. So that this could be, it really could be a concern for some borrowers. We just know in general that if you have the paperwork ready, if you have done the homework, if you have everything they ask you for in terms of your revenue, your business plan, your EIN, your bank accounts, your financials, if you have all this kind of information ready, then you're kind of cool. And Ladder Capital is a business funder that offers what they call revenue-based financing to eligible businesses, okay? And they are actually a viable alternative, in our view, to VC funding or bank loans, especially if you're not interested in giving up equity or you don't have any collateral, right? This is what I was saying earlier. No personal guarantee, no collateral, no credit check, okay? So the money they're advancing to you is based on the revenue. It's based on the cash flow. It's based on the inflows and outflows. This is the analysis that they'll be paying attention to. Number 4, folks, we have FundWise. Our score, 8.5/10. When we speak about FundWise, we speak about one of the best business lenders based on cash flows. And they are a financial service company that specializes in connecting qualified customers with third-party funders, okay? So this is not a direct lender. This is a loan matchmaker, but they do a great job at giving you the cash you need. And they can make a significant impact, especially if you have if you looked at other alternatives and you can't find a loan that is suitable for your business, you might want to think about FundWise. And in terms of credit score, they want you to have 550, but again, minimum 550. But again, if you set things up the right way, you wouldn't need personal credit, okay? The borrowing amount it oscillates between $50,000 to $1 million, and the minimum time to funding 2 weeks. And again, this is a lending marketplace. So what happens here is that you put your information. They will actually disseminate your information, your loan application to their network of lenders, and then lenders will actually compete for your business. Okay, what are the pros and cons here? Pros: financing is available to qualified startups as well as established businesses. You have multiple types of financing available. This is great. This is actually the quality of those loan marketplaces. You have long-term financing options available, so you can get a loan we can get a loan with the maturity date beyond 5 years, and no collateral is required. In terms of the cons, rates can be expensive sometimes, okay, and funds can take a while to disburse, depending on your application, because if it takes a while, it could be many reasons. Probably the lender wants you to provide additional paperwork, and you're taking some time. You haven't provided the paperwork quickly enough, so this could be part of the delay. And another criterion that we don't like with Fundwise is that the website advertising is not really clear as to what they do, but they can fund from 50,000 all the way to $1 million, and we've seen interest rates from 5% all the way to 36%. Again, it depends on the lender. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are still having a conversation about the top 5 EIN only large business loans based on cash flows, no personal guarantee, and no credit check. Number 3, we have Amazon lending. Our score, 9/10. So Amazon lending is a short-term business loan provided by Amazon to Amazon sellers. So if you're not an Amazon seller, you don't want to pay attention here. You want to just fast forward to the next one. So you got to be an Amazon seller here, okay? Because everything happens on the platform. They will actually, and the thing is, you don't apply. They will basically, you will see the offer. If you pre-qualify, you can see the offer, and you just have to click it, and everything happens within the platform, okay? And Amazon Lending's competitive rates and relaxed credit requirements make it a great choice for borrowers who don't qualify for other types of financing. So with Amazon, the minimum time to funding is 1 day. Isn't that wonderful? 1 day, you get your cash right away. That's wonderful. What are the pros and cons here? So in terms of benefits, no credit score requirements, rates are cheap, applicants can be quickly pre-qualified. The application process is very fast and easy. Everything happens within the Amazon seller dashboard. And you have multiple avenues of customer support when it comes to Amazon Lending. You can actually contact Amazon Lending staff, dedicated staff, or you can contact Amazon customer service in general, and they will just redirect you to the right department. And what about the drawbacks here? It's only available to Amazon sellers, unfortunately. So you're going to have to sell on Amazon to qualify for that. There is no long-term financing option available. And we haven't seen clarity. We haven't had clarity in terms of the fees, in terms of the terms on Amazon's website. So it's a little blurry there as well. But it's a great program. Basically, Amazon has said that you can borrow from 50,000 up to all the way to $1 million. But we've seen recently that they have lowered the limits. So you can get anything from 1,000 all the way to $750,000. When they started the program, it was $50,000 to $1 million, and they have actually sort of restricted their underwriting processes lately. So $1,000 to $750,000. Number 2, folks, we have Balboa Capital. Our score, 9.5/10. So when it comes to the top 5 EIN only large business loans based on cash flows, Balboa is a great player. With Balboa, though, they are very strict. They want you to be prepared. So you got to have a business plan, among other things. Not just a business, but you got to have a business plan, a compelling business plan. And the business plan has to be replete with clear, straightforward financial statements. So with Balboa, they want not just the cash flow statements and the income statements, they want the other two also. They want the balance sheet. And the fourth one, they want the statement of owner's equity. So you got to have a complete set of financial statements, and they also want you to have the additional documentation such as tax returns and other ancillary data. So with Balboa Capital, they're very, very generous in terms of the funding process, but they're also strict in terms of the conditions they're looking for. And the cool thing here is that there's no credit check, because this is a strictly EIN only business loan. So they want you to have a minimum time in business, 1 to 2 years, required annual revenue more than $200,000, borrowing amount less than 50 grand all the way to $250,000. We've seen in some cases where they went above their lending limits and they approved loans for $1 million. Okay. And the loans are collateral free, no personal guarantee. So everything is really, you are safe on the personal level and at the business level. They're not asking anything from you. Of course, they will be paying attention to the revenue. They will, in some cases, they will want to have access to your software. So if you're using QuickBooks or Wave or another software, they want to pay. They want to actually see whether or not the financial statements that you have sent them are for real. Okay, so they might have that depending upon the situation, depending upon the solidity of your application. Now, when we speak about Balboa Capital and business loan, you have they offer short-term working capital loan and also equipment financing. Okay, and in some cases they might actually extend you a line of credit depending upon your situation. Number one, folks, when we speak about the top 5 EIN only large business loans based on cash flows, again, cash flows here means revenue and cash flows. Okay, so you want to have your income statement and your cash flow statement. And the number one in our view, great player, Cash Bloom. Our score 10 over 10. Right off the bat, this is a great player in terms of funding alternative opportunities, alternative business opportunities, right? So they offer a short-term working capital in the form of loans and merchant cash advances. And here you are having a borrowing amount that oscillates between $50,000 and $1 million, and the funding can happen very fast within a day. That's wonderful. What are the pros and cons here? Pros: you have relaxed credit score requirements. 2 to 7 days time to funding, that's the average. In some cases, we've seen 12 hours, we've seen 1 day, right? And they lend to new businesses. So, even if you're a startup, you have been in business for 3 months, doesn't matter. If you're able to have a clear and compelling projection pitch about your finances, about your revenue, about your income statement, about your cash flow statements, they'll approve you. They'll work with you. What about the cons when we talk about Cash Bloom loans? So they lack transparency. When it comes to terms and fees, you have some lack of transparency that we believe Cash Bloom, if you're hearing us, you really need to address. All right, and some people have spoken about high factor rates. Okay, so this is something you just need to be aware of. But the good thing is that they do have a fast process, high approval. They can give you more capital. Okay, and they're cash flow friendly. So they want you to pay. As long as if you have the right paperwork. Again, I will always emphasize and overemphasize it. You got to have a business plan. You got to have compelling projections. You got to have all the additional paperwork they're asking for. Once you have that, you can get your cash real quick. All right, folks, this was it for today's conversation. I was actually speaking to you quickly about the top 5 EIN only large business loans based on cash flows. And those are loans that require no personal guarantee, no credit check. And number 1, we have Cash Bloom, 10 over 10. Number 2, we have Balboa Capital, 9.5 over 10. Number 3, we have Amazon Lending, 9 over 10. Number 4, we have Fundwise, 8.5 over 10. And number 5, we have Ladder Capital, 8 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.